Hi guys, welcome back again to onotmusicworld. We've been talking about rhythm and we want to continue today. So in the last video about rhythm, I explained the meaning of rhythm. I said rhythm is something that is repetitive, that is continuous, and its purpose is to form background for music. So that was the definition for rhythm, and I explained some rhythm last week, most especially in for chord 1. I explained for chord 4, chord 5, and I did for chord 6 too. So I said chord 1 is do mi so. I'm in the key of G today, which is this. So in key of G, key signature of G is G, then we have A, then we have B, C, then we have D, we have E, we have F sharp and G. So those are the key signature of D, but I already said I won't be talking about alphabets for this time. I will only be referring to them with their tone, which is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I think everybody should be able to understand that one better than alphabet of a thing. So now in in the chord, the rhythm for D, or chord for chord for number 1 is what I'm saying. Number 1 chord, we have do mi so, which is the triad for number 1. Number 4 we have falado, and number 6 we have sotire. Number 5 we have sotire. Number 6 we have ladomi. So I said this is do mi so. If you haven't watched that video, you might need to watch it before watching this one so that you understand the things we have talked about previously. So we have do mi so for number 1, we have falado for number 2, then we have sotire for falado for number 4 chord, which is chord of fa. Then we have sotire for number 5 chord, which is chord of so. Then we have ladomi for number 6, which is this. So those are the chords of number 1, number 4, number 5, and number 6. Now someone would think, what about number 2? What about, which is re? What about number 3, which is mi? What about number 7, which is ti? Now the same way I explained the first, the fourth, and the sixth is still the same way you would do for the rest of them. They have a chord of number 2 is re, which is re fa la. So it has, so if it has re fa la as its chord, and mi, we have mi so ti. So you can always just apply it that way too. I guess that was what we did last time, because we are moving from the number 1. Now I'm talking about the chord now, the triad re, fa, la, which are 3. Now we are going from re to fa to la. Then at times we come back from la to fa to re again. Then at times we interchange them, we manipulate them into each other. So that was what we did for the major ones. You can also do that ones for the minors too, which is re, mi, la. You get, so we can have something like this. That is for re. We can have for mi, which is, I will just assume you already know all this position, because we've not reached the do on the group, but since we requested for it, I will assume everybody that is doing this is an intermediate, so you should know this already. And if you don't know it yet, if you're a beginner, don't worry, just get the idea. So when we do all the 5 positions, you will be able to get the better. So this is re, fa, la, and this is mi, so, ti. So you can just interchange it from re, fa, la, or that is coming from la, fa, re. That means I'm descending that this time. So that is what it means. So you can just interchange it and use it like that. Okay, so today we have to talk about how to add some extra notes that are not in the chord of that particular key chord that we are doing. What I'm saying is, we want to add some notes that are not in the chord that we are actually playing to make it more technical, more advanced. Now if we are in the chord of do, it has 3 just chord, do, mi, so. That is kind of that's keeping us in a kind of loop, in a cage. So what we want to do is kind of expand and do something more, So from do, mi, so, we want to be able to add some notes like re. We want to be able to add some notes like fa, like ti at times also. Now this will now take us to the concept of advanced chord, which is adding, like add seventh, add second, fourth chord, and all of those things. Now let me briefly explain those chords in a very short form. Now if we are standing on the chord of do, this is do. What we are doing now is do. Now do has 3 chord, a note in it. That is, it has its own family of 3, which are do, mi, and so. Those are the families that it has now. The family that it has 1, 2, 3, do, mi, so. Now we want to make it, because do, mi, so is too small and they are just 3. Now we might need to add some things to it. Now they brought in the concept of adds, like add second, add seventh, add 11th chord, 13th chord, and so on. So now let me explain what add 2 means. Add 2 means, since do is number 1 and mi is number 3, we have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and do is number 1. Now add second chord will means add re to do to make it second chord. So when you are playing do, you play do, then you play re, you now go to mi, then you go to so. That is what they are talking about add 2 or second chord. Most time you hear it about second chord. So if you want to have a second chord, this is what key G chord will look like naturally, or as you play it here. Now, but if you want to add the second to it, all you have to just play is it's only the re that is different, that is not their primary family. Now that makes it a bit different. So you play something like do, re, mi, sa, do. That is what add 2 second chord will mean. Now let's talk about another popular one, which is add 7th. Now add 7th is saying add number 7th of that chord to itself. That is, if I am do, add my number 7th to me. That's what it's saying. Now if we are to count it, do is number 1, re number 2, mi is number 3, fa is number 4, so is number 5, la is number 6, and ti is number 7. So what that chord is saying, you usually hear it as add 7th. What that chord is telling you is that just add to me the 7th. So this is what the chord will look like. Do, re, okay, we are not adding second now, we are just adding 7th. So it will be like do, mi, so, ti. Then you have, this is what I'm playing. You could have that too. So that is what add 7th is. That is, add the T to itself. Add that T to me, or to do. If I am do, then add T to me is what add 7th is saying. Now add 9th now is kind of well, let's count 9th. If you want to count 9 from 1, which is do, we have do 1, re 2, mi 3, fa 4, 6, 5 is so, la is 6, ti is 7th. Do is now 8 again, which is an octave to the number 1 that we were talking about. At times you see it written as 1 bracket 8 or 8 bracket 1 at times. So do is number 8 of the note. Now number 9 is now re. Now someone will say, we said at second chord is re, we are adding re to second chord, and now you are telling us add 9th is still re again. Now there's a difference in them. Now add 2 is adding the nearest re to that chord, which is, so this re at the top is 2, but in this case, since we are adding 7th, we are adding 9th, sorry, we are adding number 9, it's telling you that number, that re at the top, which is at octave, is the one you should add to me. So it will be like, it will be something like this. Let me go over that again. It will be something like do, mi, sa, do, re, mi, sa, do. So I just want you to know it is applicable to all other positions too. You can, like here, you can apply do, mi, sa. So that is what add 7th is. Add 9th, sorry. That is add 9th. And likewise, if you want to add 11th to it, you just count it upward. Now let's talk about 4. Okay, so we were talking about 4, that is adding 4th to that chord. Now let's count it. If we are on do, now we have do as number 1, re as number 2, mi as number 3, and fa as number 4. That means all we want to do now is add fa to our chord. So it will be something like, or just, and you can add it here also. So that is what it will look like, adding 4. Now let's talk about from 4 now to 11th. Now 11th, we already established it that I don't want to waste time, so I will just be quick. We already explained that 11th, the octave of number 1 is 8. So let me start counting from, okay, do is 1, re is 2, mi is 3, fa is 4, so is 5, la is 6, si is 7, do again is 8. Now re is 9, mi is 10, and fa is 11th. Do you get? You can see that 4 and 11 are the same note, but it's only that it's the octave one they are talking about when they are talking about 11th. So all you have to just do is, when you are going to play 11th, you just play. That's what they are telling you to do, and you can play it here also. Sorry. It's applicable to every position here. I just don't want to start moving from one position to another. I will assume you can apply them to all other positions too. So that is what 11th will look like. Same thing 13th. So you can just add it, you count it like that. 6 is adding number 6 to that chord, which is la. So you just add la to your chord. And if you want to add 13th in this case, it should be an octave from 6 to 13. So it'll be like, so meaning virtually we can add any note to our chord depending on the understanding. Now, but do I just add any note to my chord, or in this case do I just add any note to my reading? Well, I would say no, because you might want to add that note with you might want to think before adding those notes to it. Now, the way I would advise you add it is that when you want to add your note, number one thing is that since you know that note is not in that chord, is not a family of that chord as we are giving the example now, what you will do is just add it very fast. Like I just said I should greet you note, and I'm going. Did you get what I'm saying? That I just said I should greet you neighbor, and I'm going. This is what I'm saying. This is original notes in do. Oh, okay, we are in key of G. So this is the original note of do now, which is do mi so. Now we have to add 2 to it. Now what I would do is that I wouldn't stay much on 2, which is re now. I wouldn't stay much on re even if when I'm playing. So I will just play like, if I'm playing, that's what I'll play. That is, re will not be so much in my chord. It will be just once in a while it comes. Okay, like that's what the illustration I'm saying. I just want to greet you re, then I'm going. So kind of a thing, so that you don't start changing the form of the music is actually the reason. Now if you are to add fa, just like that, you make it sharp, and you can add any note like that. Just apply those things to all other notes as well. Now, and if you are to be playing the rhythm, like at times we will play, you know, if you want to add re to it, you can see I only play re once. Reason because re is not primarily a note in that chord. It's not part of their family. So I will just play it just once at times, you know. So that is what I would do if I was to be in your case. I will just play the re once. Now, and is applied to any other chord too. Now, but mind you, when you are talking about other notes, it's not only re, do chord that can say we had seventh, we had third, we had fourth, we had second. We can also add it to any other notes. For example, now if you have a chord of fa or a chord of re, for example, now a re chord will say I'm number 1. In that case, you will take re as number 1 now, and then mi as number 2, fa as number 3, then you line it up like that. We are not changing the key signature. We are not changing our key. It's still the same key we are. But when you want to add to it, now if we are to add, if a chord of re, now we will just think as re as number 1, and now we want to add second to re, which is going to be mi. Now, okay, so I was talking about chord of re. Now you want to put adds on re. Just think as re as number 1, mi as number 2, fa as number 3, so as number 4, la as number 5, ti as number 6, do as number 7, then re as number 1 again. So, or 8, then you start 8, then you start counting upward like that. So you can just add anything. We are not changing the key. We are still very much in that key, but you just think of it, because you know we are in the loop of that chord. So, and if you are in the loop of that chord, we want to like add to that chord. So it has a primary family of re, fa, and la, and we want to be able to like expand with through those notes. So you just think of them like that. Do is number, if you are told to play second, you know it's mi, and if you are told to play ninth, you know it's mi, but at the octave. If you are to play seventh now, you know it's do, that is seventh. No, so for do you play something like this? This is so if you have to play re, then you play something like this. I'm only adding the do here. This do is what I'm adding to the chord re, so it becomes something like this. So, and likewise all other ones. So you can just add it like that. If you are not getting it, I understand, because we have not talked about chord on the group, but very soon we will talk about advanced chord. I just want you to know how to put those other notes in your rhythm now. But come to think of, and that is applicable to other chords too, mi, fa, so, and every other chord of the 7 diatonic chord that we have now. But we don't have to think about all those things like that, like I was about to say. So we don't have to think about them as seventh, as ninth, as 13th, as something, that is kind of complex to think about. So what I used to think about is when I'm playing is, like I said, I would take note of where I'm going to and where I'm coming from. That is the chord changes. I said in our previous video that it is very important you are mindful of the chord changes. Now, I will now think of where we are going to, where the chord is going to, and from where we are coming from. For example, if we have a chord of 1, 4, and 5. Now 1, 4, and 5. After playing chord 1, I am to play chord 4. Okay, chord 4 has a note of chord 1 in it. Now, let's say from chord, I'm standing on chord 1 now, and I'm to approach chord 4. Now, I can include the notes of chord 4 in my chord 1, so that I will introduce to my audience that this is where I'm going. It is always very good that way. It's more meaningful that way, more sensible that way to do that. This is what I'm saying. Now, I'm in the chord of do. Chord 1 is do. Chord 4 is fa. Then chord 5 is so. So that is what I have. And now I'm in chord of do, which is something like this. If you have to play rhythm. Now, and I'm going to chord 4, which I know is a chord fa. Right? So I can introduce to them the note 4 while I was still in chord 1. So I can play something like, then I know I'm going to falado. Then, do you get chord 1, chord 4, chord 5, then again chord 1. So with this fa, I have already introduced chord 4 to them before even playing that chord itself. So now, so you see, I didn't think about it as the fourth chord or something like that. I just thought I'm going to fa, I'm going to chord of fa. Why can't I just add a note of fa to it and make it like to make it more interesting, more audible to people, most especially people that does not know much about music. They would love it, they will understand it better that way. So you can also do that for chord of, probably I'm on fa now, I said 1, 4, 5, which is do fa so. I'm on fa. I can introduce the note 5, which is so. This is fa sol la do. Then I can go to. That's just it. So if I want to introduce both now, I can say. So I can think of it that way. And also I can think of it that, where am I coming from? Okay, let's talk about saw too. So this is saw. Now, because I know I am going to do, because I know I am going back to do, I can add a note do to that saw. Something like I added for falado, like I added fa solado. I can add so ti do re too. Then I know I'm going back to do. So I'm introducing those chords ahead of time. Now, you don't have to put it that way. You can just add one of it. And I just only want to introduce fa each time. Just to introduce fa each time, and just. do it that way. Now, and you can at times keep a note ringing every time. I usually do that at times. Now, when I want to keep a note ringing, for example, the way I did for fa now, I can find a way to like always play fa. So let me think of a rhythm that could constantly have fa. I can have something like do, mi, fa, so. That has a fa. Then fa, fa, la, do. Sorry. I can put it that way. Now this is what I played. Do, mi, fa, so, fa, fa, la, do. Do, mi, fa, so. It's because I'm adding fa to it. That's why I didn't play. That's why I didn't play. So it's then I can play so so we can have something like that. That is a way to like add other notes to your chord. Now that's you won't just stay in the loop of the triad chord of that chord. I mean the triad notes in that chord. So now that is also applicable to every other ones. If you want to play re, fa, la, and you want to add probably that is adding mi. So I had mi, so, la, ti. So you can also add like that. Now another thing I want to, now with this I explain, you can just sit down and think about some rhythms you can play with that. Some rhythms you can develop with all those things I have said. Like the way I wanted my fa to be keeping ringing is very good at times to do that. Very good. You can choose a note to constantly ring every time in that chord. You will find it very amazing. You will find it wonderful. People that are listening to you will find it very interesting to listen to. Trust me. A note of those chord changes could be ringing constantly over and over again. It will fine. Okay, so now and then adding, especially when you had ninth and seventh of a chord to it, it is very beautiful. It qualifies the chord, it beautifies it. Now I know we are not talking about chord, we are talking about rhythm. It's still the same thing. If you are adding the seventh or the ninth of that chord to the rhythm, you will find it very interesting, very lovely. So I would advise you just sit down and find a way to like try to add create something that you see it, you can add those things to. You don't have to be fast. Just create it gently and use a metronome so that it could regulate your tempo. So now another thing then I'm to talk about today is adding a note that is not in the diatonic scale of that, that is not in the key signature of that key to the note. Like adding the minor notes in this case that we'll see, like mo, fi, zi, to. How do we add those notes now? Like I said the other time, I said when in a chord, a note is not in a chord and you want to play it, you can always just play it once and leave it away. Like I would say, I was just passing by and I said I should greet you, bye bye. Those kind of a thing. You can do it that way, because if you are playing a note that is not in the key signature to make a rhythm, it could sound somehow at times, because this is rhythm, not solo. Are you getting it? And rhythm is something that repeats constantly. If you now start repeating a note that is not in that key signature constantly and over again, if you don't do it very wisely, it could destroy the music at times. you could like speaking about adding a note that is not in the key signature to that reading. Now, if you need to add it at all, just add it for a minimum time, a minimal time, and just get on with the normal thing that you are doing. It is better to add seventh and ninth to it than a note that is not in the key signature if you don't know how to do it. But this is how to do it anyways. You just add it for a limited time. Maybe you want to add D now. I said I won't talk about alphabet, so I'll just talk about the tones to the case. So in this reading I'll just add D, then I'll add Z. You know it's applicable to all other ones. You can just sit down on your own and just practice and add some things to it. So I'll play do second of do, I mean do add 2, and so add 2 2. Do add 2, so add 2, which is do re mi so, and so add 2 is so la ti re. So that is the add 2 now. Now the note between each of those add 2 is what I want to add as my minor note, which is not in the which is not in the key signature of that key. So it will be like do di re mi so. Then I'll play fa normally. You know, fa is just falado. Then so I'll play. You know, I said so add 2 is so la ti re, but I want to play the note in between so and la now, which is Z. So zi la ti re. Those are the minor notes I decide to add in my own reading. You can always add something else in your own. You know, you can think of anything. Just think. This one I just thought about it now. You can think anything. In fact, just think when you think of something and you do it. Record it on your phone or somewhere, and think of another thing, and think of another thing, and think of another thing. By doing so, you will be able to create as much rhythm as possible. I don't cram rhythm. It just comes naturally. Since so far you know the rules, so they will just come to you. So this is what I will just do now. So normally I should have now the seventh now without minor will be. Normally it should be now adding seventh to it, I mean adding second to it, second chord. That's adding second to do. And so now I want to add that D to second now, to do now, and I want to add Z to so now. It will be something like so. You see, it changed the form of do and so because we have already added the notes to it. Before I was playing do twice, now I could only play it once, which means the space of the second one is now given to D instead of it has turned to. So it is before, now it has turned to. Then falado. I intentionally didn't change that. Then you can have. Someone will say, if I want to add to, you can also add to so to fa to so. I just felt that would be too much and it will be not nice to listen to. But now it will be very good at times adding those minor notes if the chord you are playing, the chord changes of that music is going to a note not in the key signature. Like something like I have mi, a chord of mi like this, you know, mi, Now what if we have, even in that key we have something like this, which is I would say in this case it is B minor, B major. You know, since G we have G as do, it will have A as re, and then B as mi. So this is B minor, that is mi. You know, mi is a minor, then it is mi, which is B minor now in this case, since we are in key of G. Now if you want to turn it to major, all you just put is add this little finger on the third string, so that will change to. Now in this case they have added a note, which is Z. Now if you want to create a rhythm for that, in that case it has now become a necessity to include these notes in your rhythm. So it wouldn't just be, no, it would be, do you get? Because this note so has been changed to Z. So you play. So if I was playing, let me just give an example now, and we were playing Sotire before, it will not be Z. So it will be something like that. Now it has become necessity for you to like add that minor note in your chord, even though it is not in the key signature, but the chord changes include it, or it's something like this. So I was talking about adding this note, this chord. Now this chord, it was supposed to be like this, which is number 5th chord. Now is number 5, which is so, and you know so is always a major chord, but if you want to turn it to minor, all you have to do is just, it was like this before, flatten that third string, second string, one step, that is T, you flat it, then it becomes to. So that will make it a 5th flat. That in this case number 5 should be, let me count. We have G number 1, A number 2, B number 3, C number 4, and D number 5. So our number 5 now should be D. So normally this is D major and this is D flat. So that is what we would have D minor, sorry. So D minor. So now if you want to include a chord, something like that, if that chord is involved in the chord changes in the progression, is what I'm saying. If it is involved in the progression, you might find a note to add to that chord. So you know, it's all you have been playing. You have been playing sol, ti, re. So you might want to play sol, do, re, sol, do, re. So you can have do, sol, fa, la, do, sol. So you can have something like that. That is it about adding a note that is not in the chord, that is not in the key signature to that chord. Now there's one last thing I want to talk about, which is, you can see me most times I move from here, I just don't stay in one position. Why? What advantage is it in not staying in a position? Now number one advantage is that if you play do mi so here, and you want to play falado, you will see you are playing the same thing, only coming down a string. Now do mi so is on the 6th string, we have do, then we have the first finger will press mi, the fourth finger will press so. If you want to play fa, you just come to 5th string and you use second finger to play fa. then you use fourth to play la, then you use fifth to play do, right? Now I want to play so. All I have to do is just come 2 frets backward here and play the same thing. First finger here playing so, second playing second finger playing C, then fourth playing re. So it gives the advantage of the same thing you are playing. Unlike when you play do like this and you play falado like this, you don't want to stay on that position and still play sotiren. You play something like that. Actually, it is sotiren to really, but when you are, it is much more advantageous, especially when you are on motion and you are on speed, to play take advantage of that rather than playing start thinking of the wicket. Now another advantage is that it gives you a slide ability. Slide is when you move from a note to another note and you slide it like this. So for example, now you can hear this. That gives you on far, and so they have slide ability. So you can have something like so. It gives you slide. So that is the advantage of coming from one position to another. Then at times it could just suit your rhythm that you are playing. Just so fine to move from one position to another. And to me, it is even boring to just play in one position. It's kind of boring to me. So I would want to move from it gives me ability to like navigate around the fretboard, navigate around. So that is what we have for today. My advice is just try to practice over those things that we have talked. Try to practice how to add the advanced chord to your rhythm. Now use advanced chord in your rhythm, that is put adds in your rhythm, second, seventh, ninth, possibly 13th, 11th, 4th, 6th. Just add them, then add them technically unconscious of the chord changes. Then learn to add notes that are not in the key signature to your chord, so that you can make your work kind of technical. Then make sure you are sliding. I mean, you are coming from one position to another. Don't just stick to a position. So you can take advantage of that slide to like make your chord much more let me say sweeter or more interesting. So thank you for watching this video. I really love you, and this is Onot.